Previously then in the British Rally Championship, the crews took on the challenging Kielder stages. And true to form, the event would give us our fair share of drama. Tom Cave coming out on top at the end of the rally. The first round winner Matt Edwards and of course defending champion unfortunately falling foul of the rules. His rally coming to an end when he picked up too many punctures and with not enough spares carried in the car. The fourth round of the British Rally Championship then takes the crews back onto the asphalt. We head over the water to Belgium, a popular rally with the crews, mixing with a high-quality international entry. But with all eyes on the championship, we cross into the second half of the season. In true international rally fashion, shakedown doubles as qualifying, and it would be the first chance for the spectators to see our BRC crews in action. And there wouldn't be any shortage of that either. Tom Cave and Dale Bowen, the first of the BRC competitors to be caught out on a tricky section, putting the car in a ditch. Thankfully, with minimal damage, they continue to set a good qualifying time on the following runs of the stage. The Hyundai drivers wouldn't be the only ones to get caught out though. Marty McCormack and Barney Mitchell would find their limits on this corner, spinning the car, but crucially hardly losing any time before getting back up to speed and setting a strong time for the qualifying. More drama, but no continuing for James Wilson and Arthur Kieran's though. They get caught out and cause some heavy damage to the front of their car. It will be a long night for the service crew, getting them ready to start the rally the next day. Crews picked their start positions then based on how fast they went on the shakedown stage. And it would be a bullish and confident Tom Cave opting for the #1 spot. But would running first on the road in the morning go in his favour? Could be a bit of a gamble. Let's head out onto the lanes of Belgium then for the opening day of competition. And that confidence would indeed play into the hands of this man, Tom Cave. Dale Bowen alongside once again. They open up an advantage at the end of the day in their Hyundai. The times though would be very close and there was no backing off going into day 2. Things were going smoothly too for Marty McCormack and Barney Mitchell, but that wasn't without a bit of drama as you might expect from the Irishman. A big jump giving them a scare, as well as breaking the windscreen with the impact. As impressive as this looks, they would need to tidy things up. A spin over the finish line of the last stage, confirming that as well. They do crucially cross the finish line before spinning the car into a ditch. So they end the day with second place overall. Matt Edwards and Patrick Walsh were pushing as well. It would be third to end day 1. A few small adjustments in service would be all that was needed though. It could have been a different story with the pair having a small excursion into a Belgian field. Thankfully, with minimum time lost and nothing more than a bit of grass in the bumper to show for their efforts. Our British Rally Championship crews as spectacular and flamboyant as ever. One crew certainly not getting away so lightly. Were Rhys Yates and James Morgan. They push a little too hard, losing control of the car. Those Belgian ditches biting hard and putting an end to what had been a good run so far. They'd be back though for day 2 of the competition. No such drama for last year's runners-up, Alex Naffy and Stuart Loudon. It would be a puncture causing them issues. Thankfully close to the end of the stage, enough to slow them down though. They end the day with 4th place. Overall, happy with how things had gone. While all of this had been going on, the juniors had been hot on their heels. We'd see the lead taken by James Williams and Tom Woodburn, the pair going well over these lanes, and the new Fiesta taking things up another level for them. It was taking a bit of adjusting to, but the times were already there, as you can see. With the car fixed, in a manner of speaking, although not looking its best, it would be a good start to the rally for James Wilson and Arthur Kieran's after a torrid night. They end the day with 6th place on the overall leaderboard, 2nd in our junior category. They'd be taking the early stages easy after their shakedown crash, but clearly they hadn't lost any of that confidence. After successfully writing their own pace notes for the first time on the previous round, Finley Retson and Richard Crozier would be writing their notes for the first time on asphalt this weekend. And it was going well on the whole, although a few intercom problems wouldn't be helping with the delivery of those notes, ironically, in some of the stages. When the feeling isn't there in the car, things can be difficult, and they were certainly difficult for Rory Bell and Darren Garrett. A pre-event test to set up the car didn't seem to be translating into a good setup here on the lanes in Belgium. Bart Lang and Sinclair Young would be happy with their pace already this weekend. Big smiles inside this car. They felt like they still had more to give as well. But this was a long rally. There was no need to peak too soon. Punctures would be the order of the day, meanwhile, for Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan. They pick one up in the opening stage, but worse would come in stage 9, when the pair would be forced to pull over and change it, dropping them down the leaderboard into 10th.
Start to run now. Change him? Yeah.
And it was a similar story for Will Crichton and Liam Regan. Punctures looking like they could be the theme of the weekend, developing already. The pair having to pull over themselves on the second stage of the day to change theirs, ending day 1 with 12th place on the leaderboard.
160, you don't want to damage anything with 4 stages to go up there. Now I'm going to have to press the button, alright? You get out quick.
Hold it for like a second.
Yeah, go on ahead, get in here.
We would lose a few of our BRC crews on day 1. Some would super rally for day 2, but not this man, Jordan Reynolds, Perida Davies alongside. They come to a stop on the 8th stage of the day with gearbox problems. Fatally, the car would not make it out for day 2.
Smash reverse gear.
Yeah.
And there was more drama to come as well. Josh Mckellen and Keaton Williams this time having a bit of an off on stage 5. Something breaking at the front of the car, sending them straight on at this corner. End of the road for day 1, but they would return to try and pick up the pieces and a few points for that championship leaderboard on day 2. And the drama doesn't end there. Jordan Hone and Eileen Kelly take this jump too fast. The hard landing breaking the gearbox mount on the Adam. They do try to limp through the stage, but it all got a bit too much for the Vauxhall. They have to pull over and call it a day.
Something broke. Top mind or something.
40.
Oh. No, anyway. Sorry.
So a fast and dramatic day here in the Belgian lanes. Day 1 is complete. Here's how the leaderboard at the top of the British Rally Championship Cruise is looking. With the temperatures going up for day 2 of the competition here in Belgium, you'd be forgiven for thinking the action after that day 1 would do likewise. And you wouldn't be far wrong. There's a change at the top of our leaderboard. Matt Edwards and Patrick Walsh step up to take the rally lead. But that lead wasn't without its own dramas. A misfire on the car, causing a bit of concentration loss, if nothing else for Edwards. They do reach service, though, with the lead. And with the service time to get the car sorted, we see them back out for the afternoon stages and still leading the pace.
Yeah, they've got it sorted. Well, they've got the engine loom sorted again. So hopefully that'll sort it and we'll have a clean run this afternoon.
Part of that reason for the change around at the top of our leaderboard would be problems for this man, Tom Cave, with Dale Bowen alongside. A buckled wheel on the Hyundai through the morning's opening stage would lose the pair a small amount of time, enough to lose them that lead though. But a puncture in stage 12 would be where the main damage would be done, dropping down to second place with these 2 problems and just needing to play the championship game for now. But sometimes, as we've seen so many times in this championship, that can be just as hard, if not even more challenging than being out and setting the pace up front.
We're just doing our own thing now. The fight was taken out of our hands this morning with the puncture, so we had to use our head and think of the championship. Still 7 stages left to go this afternoon and this evening, so we'll keep doing what we're doing.
There's another notable change in the leaderboard here with the loss of Marty McCormack and Barney Mitchell. They slide off the road in stage 10, enough damage to have to call it a day. A disappointing end to what had been a pretty fantastic run for the Skoda pair, despite being a bit too flamboyant for these Belgian lanes. Things were going much better today, though, for Alex Laffey and Stuart Loudon. No issues to report, would you believe it? They were still trying, and that was showing in the times as well. They end the morning with 3rd place. A good feeling going into the afternoon and brimming with confidence. No change for James Williams and Tom Woodburn. They were still on the up, their lead opening out even more. They were actually starting to look pretty untouchable out there, and were even leading the class in the event overall against the local crews.
Yeah, we've had a really good, strong day, so
conserving brakes and tyres now, trying to look after the car a little bit, but still going at the same speed. It's a nice rhythm. So yeah, what can you get better than this?
It wouldn't be plain sailing though for their fellow junior competitors James Wilson and Arthur Kieran's. Bit of a mixed morning, you could say. They were having a few problems, but thankfully they were being looked at in service. Worse was still to come though, when the heater hose would come off in the car, showering James with boiling water. The rest of the morning would be even more of a challenge. As far as Rory Bell and Darren Garrett were concerned, things were still not quite going to plan. Or at least that's how they felt. It didn't look too bad from outside the car, but they were still having to try and make setup adjustments as they went along, which is never good. You can never get 100% when you're still trying to change the car. In any case, though, the pair were lying in 6th place at this stage, 3rd in the juniors. At the very least, that wasn't bad for damage limitation. The eagle-eyed among you may have noticed that we're missing Finlay Retson and Richard Crozier from this loop of stages. The crew pushing a bit too hard on this corner, crashing out. Luckily, both driver and co-driver okay, but the same could not be said for the car. Things were still going to plan, though, for Bart Lang and Sinclair Young. As far as the timesheets told anyway, they were having some problems, though, in the car. Gearbox issues would be their main worry by the end of the morning. Frustratingly, that worry would turn to retirement in the following stages. A disappointing end to what could have been the pair's best result to date, and they will be ruining that all season. With all the attrition around them, and of course those Belgian lanes being a bit of a specialty, there would be a number of crews out today just looking to pick up some points from this round of the championship. Will Crichton and Liam Regan would be one of those such crews. They end the morning with 8th place on the leaderboard, 5th in the juniors, and the way things were looking, they could pick up a few more as they went. Josh Mckellen and Keaton Williams would be back out for day 2, and they'd be happy with the way things were going at last. If it hadn't been for their day 1 problems, the leaderboard could have looked a lot different for them by this stage. The talents in the British Rally Championship don't just extend to those on-stage antics. The service crews coming into their own for this round. Jordan Hone and Eileen Kelly returning to the stages after that heavy day 1 landing over the jump. They now had nothing to lose. The gloves were off. They would be seeing how far they could climb up that leaderboard. There would, as we'd predicted, be more attrition as we went through the leaderboard. Marty Gallagher and Dean O'Sullivan would retire in the early stages of the day with water temperature issues. So we're midway through day 2 of the competition here in Ypres. The leaderboard at the top is all changed. Matt Edwards leading the way going into the final stages of the rally. Let's head out into those lanes for the final time then for 2019. We're on to the final closing stages of the rally. And it would be a finish for Jordan Hone and Eileen Kelly. It wasn't the result they came here for, but they would take it after that tough start. A similar story too for Josh Mckellen and Keaton Williams. They managed to salvage some much needed points from this round, and they actually lead the Junior Championship going into the next round. For Will Crichton and Liam Regan, it would be a 6th place overall finish, 3rd in the junior category. They do manage to leave the rally with 2nd place in our championship standings, the best that they could have hoped for after yesterday's puncture, and it just goes to show nothing is certain early on in a British Rally Championship round. This weekend, though, would mark Rory Bell and Darren Garrett's best result to date. After the pair slipped off the road on the Pirelli, they needed their championship campaign to get back on track this weekend. And this was definitely one way to do that. A great end to the rally, even if it hadn't felt that good in the car all weekend. But taking victory in the junior category this weekend would be James Williams and Tom Woodburn. A good move to play their joker this weekend would see them jump up to 3rd in the championship standings as well. A great debut in the new Fiesta, with much hope for future rounds for the pair. Next up, we'll round out the overall results here in Ypres, but first, let's catch up with our junior category podium finishers in Belgium.
What a result. Oh, more than what I could have asked for here. What a brilliant rally for us. The car ran faultlessly. Didn't make a mistake all weekend, and I have to say massive thanks to my team, my sponsors, for giving me the opportunity to be here.
Yeah, it's been tough, but I really pulled through on this event, and it was a good end result at the end of the weekend.
Yeah, very happy. Tough start yesterday, so to crawl back and keep tipping away and get the result we got in the podium was first class.
Back to the overall results at the end of a tough 2 days of competition on the asphalt then, and the podium places, all important at this stage in the championship, of course. It will be third for Alex Laffey and Stuart Loudon. A little way back from the fight at the front, but a great way to end the rally, and some crucial good points on the board for the M Sport crew. Despite a big and customary push from Tom Cave and Dale Bowen, there was nothing that they could do to get back on terms and overhaul that lead on day 2. But they'd be happy enough with second place, playing the championship game. That does allow them to leave Belgium still in the lead of the championship standings. But the points for that title fight now dead level, with reigning champ Edwards with 2 rounds of the series remaining. So there are no prizes for guessing. That means it's victory for Matt Edwards and Patrick Walsh, on it from the very first flag of the weekend. It hadn't been an easy run by any stretch of the imagination, but they did what they came here and what they needed to do, setting some great times, particularly compared with the local crews here in Belgium, and the M Sport team doing a great job of fixing that earlier misfire on the Swift-backed Fiesta. So let's get some reaction from our podium here in Belgium. First up though, a reminder of the final results.
We had a fairly uneventful first leg, but then after that, we were on the quiet. We've been managing fairly severe misfire on and off all day today, and we've been changing bits on the car again, like we did last year. So it's tested us again, but we've battled through it, and the whole team's worked tirelessly behind the scenes. While we've been out on the stages looking at data and all sorts of things to try and find the problem, and myself and Patrick have been managing everything else that we can take care of in the car, and fortunately we had a car that we could put some times in the middle loop today, and that's seen us through.
Today's been mentally and physically challenging from the word go with the heat, and 14 stages. It's been a slog at times, but once we had the puncture this morning, I knew that kind of deflated the chances to fight for a win, so we had to keep our heads and make sure we scored some decent points. And yeah, I'm pleased with second, but yeah, it's a case of what could have been. So
it's been a tough event, really tough, with the heat and just the general stages themselves. I mean, you've seen how many people have had their moments and accidents, and we've not been without our own, so really have to just get to the end more than just get a podium, so I'm chuffed, yeah.
The story then here in the British Rally Championship really starting to get interesting. Our protagonists head to Ireland next up for the Ulster Rally. And with the points so close at this stage in the season in both the main and the junior categories, the battles will rage on the formidable Irish lanes.